So, when you really think about a company, what's its number one job? I mean, who should it really be working for? It's a huge question, and it's basically defined business for more than 100 years. And today, well, the answers are all over the map. So, we're going to break down three really different philosophies about what a company should be. All right, before we dive in, just a quick heads up. This is part 3 of a 10-part overview of a really deep research report from Virtualization Options LLC. It covers the stakeholder business model, AI governance, and all the legal stuff around it. Now, as you can probably guess, these explainers were just scratching the surface of what's in the full report. And of course, this isn't legal advice, and it doesn't come with any kind of warranty. Okay, with that out of the way, let's get into it. So, let's start with that big central question, the one that frames this whole conversation. What is a corporation's number one job? Seriously, is it just to make money for the people who own it? Or is it to make the absolute best stuff for its customers? Or is it something else entirely? The way you answer that really points to a specific way of doing business. Okay, so let's start at the beginning with the most traditional answer, the one that pretty much ran the show for most of the 20th century. This is what we call the shareholder model. Think of it as the original blueprint for how to run a company. The idea here is, incredibly straightforward. In this model, the company has one main job, one primary duty. Make as much money as possible for the people who own the stock, the shareholders. That's it. Every single decision at the end of the day is measured against that one goal. And you can totally see how this plays out in the real world, right? The focus becomes laser sharp on short-term results. The big questions are always, how do we do this quarter, and is the stock price going up? That's what drives the whole strategy. The pressure to hit those quarterly numbers is just immense. Things like long-term impact on the community or the planet, well, they were often a distant second, if they were on the radar at all. But of course, that's not the only way to do things. And that brings us to a different philosophy, a different way of thinking, the customer value model. With this one, the priority shifts. It moves from the owners to the people actually using the product. The logic here is also pretty simple. If you can make your customers ridiculously happy, then business success is just going to follow. So instead of starting with the shareholder, you start with the customer. The whole company, top to bottom, gets organized around creating the best possible experience. And here you can see that shift in action. Companies that live by this model, they pour tons of money into research, just trying to figure out exactly what customers want. A company like Amazon, with its famous obsession to be Earth's most customer-centric company, is the perfect example. That relationship with the customer becomes the most valuable thing they have. And while it's still pretty focused, it does start to admit that, hey, maybe there are more people involved here than just the shareholders. And that leads us right to our third and, honestly, most comprehensive approach. This one asks the big question. If we're looking beyond shareholders, why stop at just the customer? This is the stakeholder model, and it takes the widest possible view of a company's place in the world. This model basically says a company's responsibility isn't just to its owners or even its customers. Nope, it's to everyone and everything affected by what it does. We're talking employees, suppliers, the towns where it operates, and yep, even the environment. The real goal becomes finding a balance that works for all of them. Now, what's really important to get here is that this isn't about charity or just some good PR. In a true stakeholder model, doing the right thing, being ethical, being socially responsible, isn't an optional add-on. It's a core part of the business strategy. The belief is that by creating value for everyone, you end up building a stronger, more resilient, and way more successful company for the long haul. Okay, so we've walked through 3 pretty different ways of looking at business. Now, let's put them side by side. This is where you can really see what makes each one tick, where the fundamental differences become crystal clear. This table just lays it all out, doesn't it? Look at the primary goal for each. It goes from shareholder wealth to customer satisfaction to balancing all interests. And the metrics they use to measure success follow right along, from stock price to customer loyalty, all the way to broad ESG scores. That's environmental, social, and governance, by the way. And maybe most telling, look at the time horizon. The focus just keeps expanding from the next quarter to a truly sustainable long-term future. There's this quote from the source report that I think just nails the heart of the stakeholder model. The key words there are systematic integration. It means this stuff, ethics, social impact, the environment, isn't something the company just thinks about sometimes. It's literally baked into the foundation of how the business is run,
every single day. And look, this isn't just some theory from a textbook. We're talking about real, huge companies. Big names like Unilever and Patagonia have built their entire brands around these exact principles. They've really proven that you can aim to serve your employees, your community, and the planet and still be incredibly profitable and successful. So this brings us all the way back to our big question, but maybe with a new twist. With all the growing pressure from, well, everyone, regulators, investors, society, is this all-in balanced approach the future of business? It's a massive shift from where we started, for sure. And it's a question that pretty much every company out there is going to have to answer.